Good morning. Welcome to Blueprint, the B2B marketing podcast. Today, we are streaming from Dubai, and I'm together with Osama Jaafar, a Senior Commercial Officer, Boston Scientific. Welcome, Osama.
Thank you so much for the kind invitation. It's a great privilege to be with you here today.
Thank you for being with us. So I'm very interested, what is this one thing that keeps you going, keeps you motivated about your work in healthcare marketing?
Well, this is my 18th year in this industry. And I have to say a few words about what keeps the momentum going. Like impactful innovation, it's just an honor to be part of an organization that continuously innovate and develop solutions that will impact patient lives. Other things is like on a personal level, I'm an insecure overachiever. So I like always to continue to learn, to develop, to advance in all aspects. And this is like the best industry to be in healthcare, where every day you have something new, new technology, a new trend. So you have to be up to date and on a constant basis, interact with all stakeholders who are really like a great backbone for this industry.
Exactly. So it's doing good things on a daily basis.
Exactly. Yeah. It's incredibly, rewarding.
Yeah.
How you impact patient lives, and this is really the best thing in our job.
It feels so. So, well, you said yourself that you've been in the business for many years. What kind of advice would you give to yourself, those 18 years ago when you were starting?
Well, definitely. I mean, many things I think of, but one thing that comes to my mind is the regulatory compliance and, let's say, the landscape that we function in. This is very, very essential, and the ethics behind our let's say, environment we function in, because it's continuously evolving, continuously developing. So you have really to have guidance to know more about the market, the landscape, the regulatory, the market access, reimbursement, all of those things.
So it feels like it's limiting a bit your marketing, your freedom as a marketer, right?
It does actually, but it not only mitigate the risks, but also like foster the trust, the collaboration, the integrity of that function. And to me, honestly, this is what differentiates good from great companies.
All right. Sounds ambitious. That's amazing. So let's speak about your audience, healthcare professionals. What's special about this audience?
Well, I have to say they are quite distinct and unique when compared to other industries. So you often you are dealing with highly educated individuals who are advocates of patients. And lately we have seen, especially with the upcoming generation, they are becoming a corporate oriented. So
really,
it's not only about the science or medicine or patients, but also how to improve profitability, how to improve margins. So they are becoming business oriented to a big extent.
So what is important for them? What kind of information they are seeking?
So definitely patients' well-being and the clinical efficacy comes first, but they have also now emerging, let's say, needs or objectives, being financial. Improving profitability, how this therapy adoption will add value to their practice, not only from patients, but from a financial standpoint. Also, something has to do with like their, let's say, personal agenda, have more clinical papers, more, let's say, academic improvements. So it depends from one physician to another, but of course, the core basis revolves around patients.
I see. So it feels like a wide array of perspectives.
Definitely.
Needed. Yeah,
and it's becoming complex as we proceed. Like year over year, you become more like needs, more requirements for them, and don't forget the competition as well. So if we're focusing on one or two, competitors are focusing on maybe or more. So we have always to be on the cutting edge.
That's great. So you generalized a bit because you described this audience as healthcare-oriented, patient-oriented, but also business-oriented. But I know that you operate on a very big geographical market, from India to China, Japan, and Australia. If we speak about the audience, how those doctors differ, between places, and let's say how this impacts the messaging that you're sending out.
Absolutely. Well, Asia Pacific is a quite diverse territory,
Exactly.
Diverse environment, various cultures, background, And this is a big difference.
I don't know who decided to put all these countries in one region. Yeah,
Exactly. But it's quite interesting, I have to say. So, let's talk about the healthcare industry over there. The healthcare system is quite diverse. For example, in Japan, it's a universal one that revolves on essential primary care, whereas on Australia, for example, it's a mixture of public and versus private. So it varies. The landscape, the market access, the procurement, the tenders, how they adopt the therapies, how you introduce it to the market. It's a different ball game in each and every market.
okay. But you speak about this kind of legal side or compliance side.
Yes.
But essentially, even if we communicate with professionals, these are people that have lives and so on, and they have probably different cultural backgrounds. I want to understand how this impacts their expectations in terms of tonality of message.
Absolutely.
Is there any difference?
Absolutely, definitely. So, just giving an example to simplify it, like in Australia, there's like a direct communication usually.
Okay.
Things are, how shall I say, in a faster pace, more direct. In other countries like Japan, for instance, like where you have a culture of authority, of hierarchy, it's all about indirect communication, more around evidence-based thing, data-driven, something like that. So the messaging and the communication varies a lot.
How long did it take you to understand the nuances?
It wasn't easy. It took me some time, and I had some crash courses on the culture and how to, all basics in terms of communication and messaging.
Again, to generalize, what type of content do you find most effective when communicating with healthcare professionals?
Well, it can be a mixture of various things. Again, tying it back always to the audience and, the objectives which we need to conduct here. To me, I find it, let's say, the evidence-based, especially from a clinical standpoint, clinical data, but in a visual format. And physicians are, let's say, bombarded with tons of information on a daily basis. So we have to be succinct and in a visually attractive way, straightforward to the point and what matters most to them.
Okay.
So this is I find it the most compelling content, in addition to one point, which is the expert content. Having content from industry leaders or experts and globally makes a big difference.
No, it's interesting that you mentioned this appealing, like visually appealing. I wonder, because now these days more and more we speak about creativity or even emotions in B2B marketing or in kind of professional marketing. And I wonder if you see this as an opportunity, and if so, maybe, in what way?
Absolutely. Emotions play a big role. And for us, how we look into it, we look in terms of a journey, being a patient or a physician. So in which, let's say, aspect in their journey, on what tool, what messaging, we just anchor some, let's say, communication methods or tools or programs, initiatives that will link the emotion to the need. So that's totally all about what we do in our, let's say, promoting our therapies, because the needs are evolving and patients are becoming really very well aware, thanks to social media and other platforms, about all what it has, what science has to offer in terms of that space. So we tend to touch on the emotion, tying it with the need.
Yeah, I think we are all getting used to kind of very colloquial way of speaking about health. There are many influencers on social media. Well, some of them are probably, not exactly matching the science, but the form itself needs to get adjusted to, let's say, attention span and so on.
True.
Now, I'd like to ask you, because you have a, let's say, long-term perspective on how marketing in healthcare evolves. I wonder how the last couple of years changed, because we had COVID pandemic, of course, and I wonder what change did you notice, if there was any?
Yeah, definitely it made a big impact on various, let's say, fronts. From one perspective, from a patient's basis. So where we function, our cases are elective. So most of those elective cases were put on hold. We had a big backlog of patients. And believe it or not, a big chunk of those patients are not back into the clinic, in the office, or the OR. They just dropped out of the radar. So you have to have an effort to bring them back which is not easy.
How do you do it?
Through direct-to-patient campaigns, being digital, being in person, having also collaborating with foundations.
Digital, I understand, but how in person would work?
So we have like some sort, or we built some sort of a patient ambassador programs, where we had some patients who had our therapy and it changed their lives. So we use them as an ambassador to influence other patients.
So they would be like expressing gratitude a bit, like, and you
talking about their experience, about how the therapy transformed their lives, like how this, decision that they took in a few seconds or hours changed their entire life.
I see.
So yeah, it was pretty compelling, I have to say.
So patients would trust doctors, but then they are reassured by other patients.
Absolutely. And when it comes peer-to-peer, it makes a big difference.
You said digital is important, obviously,
Yeah.
but I wonder, because doctors are so busy, physicians are so busy, it doesn't seem to me like they are too often on the screen. How do you mitigate that?
Yeah. So one of the let's say trends we have noted lately in the last couple of years, that doctors are being burnt out. Like they are super busy. Their work-life balance is really
these days?
Exactly, especially in that field, And there's a lot of waiting, let's say, line or waiting list for patients to be treated, and that's really a big issue for them. So that's why we're supporting them with let's say some digital formats, digital tool, because doctors won't have the time or the FaceTime with patients to talk about the therapies, to talk about the post, even if they did the therapy, post complications. So we're helping institutions and physicians to establish some sort of format, digital stuff, some collaterals that's directly addressed to patients to help them in their journey, to make sure that they are ready and aware at each phase what to expect and how to deal with it.
These days, there is a big discussion in B2B marketing or in professional marketing about aligning marketing and sales. And I know a big part of your work is on marketing, on communication, but how do you make sure that what you do in marketing has actually commercial impact? How do you align these two?
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, usually in all organizations, there's like a friction between marketing and sales. And there's that sweet spot that we need to have for alignment to make sure that we advance as an organization.
Can those areas even kind of overlap?
Yeah, they do. They do actually. And to me, marketing is evolving throughout the years. Like in our organization, for instance, it's all about being data-driven, being customer-centric. We have to be in the field. We have to be close.
But give me an example. How do you actually make sure that what is done in marketing can, impact the commercial?
So I'll tell you, I've been into sales, and from a sales standpoint, we're number-oriented, target-oriented, and usually we don't see this overall picture. For us in marketing, we look at the journey for physicians, for patients. Now, for sales, they look at chunks of that journey, not from A to Z. From us, we look from A to Z, and we have to go to provide a lot of guidance. It's not only about providing tactics or strategy down the road where to take the physician from A to Z, but how we do it and the consistency. And sometimes you have to say no. And for sales, this is a nightmare. So we have to really align together. And for us, everything we do, when you support it with evidence, with data, because salespeople are numbers-oriented, data-oriented, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, result-oriented.
Absolutely. So we have always, whatever we do, always be data-based, data-driven.
And how do you make sure that what you deliver to sales is actually something that they are looking for?
Yeah, so it's all about building the strategic roadmap of our function, and we usually it's like our constitution, and we build it together.
Right.
So once we build it together, we have this alignment on those big headlines, those big milestones. Then on the execution, on the tactics, yes, we sometimes have challenges, we have different point of views, but as I told you, it's all about having data from the market through advisory boards, through VOCs, through market research, having all this data and tailoring it in a way in order to give the sales team all the tools, all the collateral they need, or the tactics to end up being successful, to set them up for success, obviously. And it's a common objective, I have to say. It's not like, we're out of tune. We have to be in synergy.
It's great to hear that you actually try to do it together. And numbers, of course, are kind of objective. You can refer to, you can quickly validate if you achieve a result or not. I heard a quite interesting opinion regarding data and regarding attribution. So deciding whose success it was, that measuring is okay, but once you very much start to look at attribution, then you start competing, because then it will be like sales claiming the success of marketing or the other way around.
Of course.
It can be that end,
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, if you look at the B2B marketing, a healthy benchmark that 20 to 40% of sales are coming from the marketing as an initiative.
All right.
So, and for us in our organization, especially in the healthcare, we don't link marketing to sales. We use some words like clinical impact. So like the measurement of success in our word is different than their word. So that's why we don't, we make sure that we're neutral, like, there's a buffer or a safe zone so that we don't end up competing on that. So like our KPIs and metrics are in principle different, but obviously they serve the same purpose.
Yeah. Everyone has their own success.
Absolutely.
There is no competition. And what are the key touch points with your audience today?
Key touch points, honestly, it varies. It depends on, I always say this word, the journey of the physicians.
So there is not like one.
No, it's customized, tailored as per the phase of each physician. So we have different tiers of doctors, and we classify them in those tiers, and we know, like, we understand like what's next for them, like what they want to achieve, and based on that, we offer the right tool or the right, let's say, campaign as per the different touch points.
But now you're very strategic, because you are talking this kind of high level language.
Yes.
If you could be more specific,
sure.
What channels or touch points, what those exact elements on the customer journey that you think make the most impact?
Sure. So there's actually a mix of digital things which we do, being, let's say, some campaigns and some of the awareness, therapy, trainings, education, or we can resort to the traditional ones like in-person, referrals. So it depends on the project. I'll be very frank. So yeah,
I see. So offline, I probably understand. So kind of congresses,
exactly,
person-to-person meetings. But then when you say digital campaigns, what would be those, like channels, like, I don't know, like YouTube or?
So we created our own, let's say, formats, something similar to YouTube, if you want, like a platform where they can it's like a one-stop shop. They just go there. If they are intrigued or interested to learn more about a certain technique or a certain therapy, they go there. There's a big library when they can, get education tools. And also we can link them up to one of our, let's say, faculty members. We have centers of education or excellence that are spread throughout the region. So we can arrange through digital or in person. And either, they travel or we have the proctor go to their premises for a training. So it's like we have a curriculum in place. And again, depending on which journey or phase that those physicians are, we capture the right tool, we know their need, and we move accordingly with them. So it's like a multi-channel initiatives or campaigns, if you want.
Where they are, yeah.
Exactly.
And what, in your opinion, is overhyped in marketing?
It's a good question. Now everyone's talking about AI. It's amazing. I mean, how it really analyzes the vast amount of data, and I do believe it can impact behaviors as well. So there's a lot of talk about hype of it. We're really excited about it, but till now I see it like there's some question marks on its adoption. What about the adoption curve of it? And tying to the regulatory landscape, especially in Asia and some markets, because it's very tough, so to penetrate those space.
Like copyright, for example.
Exactly. But it's really interesting how we see it going. Like we started applying AI in some extent, for example, in our organization. Like if we have an event and we need to let's say, recruit the right candidates for it, so we do some search about this physician, like how many papers they conducted. And if we have various audience, we see how they are connected as well. Like what this physician fellows, whose fellows were they? So we establish the selection criteria based on an AI-driven mechanism.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you measure the success of your work? What metrics would be important?
Yeah, definitely. So we look definitely at the numbers. So like, but again, from a marketing lens, we avoid that. We look at the.
But what if you say numbers? What if you can, reveal the secret?
I mean, it's not a secret. It's just like how you performed. Let's say post and pre those campaigns, those tactics, strategy, execution, launches, touch points that you had with the customers, just to measure their impact.
So this kind of CRM data?
Yes, yeah, we it can be. Yeah, but to be with all fairness, we don't have those CRM in all markets. Where in mature markets, yes, and others it's still manual. So we capture those things, let's say numbers, and like the clinical adoption, the therapy adoption, like the number of cases. It's not only about the number, but like being influenced by this through that their let's say patient referrals, the pool of patients they're having. So mainly those metrics, I have to say.
So also a bit of kind of qualitative?
There are qualitative. So for instance, like now we're implementing that a lot. So for example, everyone was obsessed, like, okay, how many likes, how many views, how many number of cases? Yes, it's important.
It's terrible for the agency as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean much.
Exactly. So for us now, how we are doing that, we're working on patient satisfaction score. We're working on the brand perception, the brand reputation.
But then how do you measure the satisfaction of the patient? It's interesting. I mean, you answer questions?
Yeah. So you can do through a questionnaire. It's through, let's say, through social media or like a campaign, through a questionnaire or a landing page or something done by a third-party organization to help us capture those, or being done in-house in institutions and hospitals.
Following this thread, it seems like there is this notion of engagement that becomes more and more important. So not likes, not number of comments, but more qualitative approach. Do you have this as well? And let's say, do you have a kind of a definition of this on the corporate side?
Well, yes. I mean, to some extent, I can tell you. So for example, we look at the conversion rate. We look at the cost to acquire patients, at the patient referrals. We look at the retention of patients. So like we have them now, but what about consistency? So we tend to do those a lot. And I'll be very honest here, it's sometimes hard to capture those stuff, but we make sure as much as possible to capture those. We try through CRM, of course, it helps, but in other markets it's not available. So we do more manual work with agencies, with vendors. So to some extent, it's helping, I have to say.
So it's about having data and then looking at data and
exactly analyzing those data. See exactly.
As far as engagement is concerned, I've heard some opinions that it's should be interpreted not as numbers, not numerically, but rather as kind of gratitude. Yeah. So engagement is an expression of gratitude of the audience, which I think is a good quote. LinkedIn today, it's an important B2B channel, but it feels like it's very much about success. You read all those posts and everyone's succeeding. Can you tell us a bit about your failures? Because when you work, obviously you make some mistakes.
Of course.
Share some of those. Yeah.
That's part of life. I mean, it's all about learnings, and this is the beauty of it. So yeah, we had some failures, and I have to reflect on one case that happened back in 2016. So we were launching, let's say, a new technology which is changing the paradigm, moving from reusable scopes to single use. So nobody in this industry had this technology, and took us a lot of work on, let's say, proving it clinical efficacy, patient outcomes, cost effective for organizations to fight for reimbursement, all of those tremendous work that took us years, honestly. And we managed to have a fantastic product that some customers were reusing because it's really robust, great. And we ended up, playing in a niche size of the market rather than dominating it, because we had competitors. They had a less reliable product, but it's for doctors, it still can do the job. And we paved all the road for them, and they just entered smoothly in, and they took some of the big market share. So that's the challenge. So we disregarded this, and that's why competition intelligence is a key. Even if they don't exist, you have always to put them on your radar, to always think that they are coming. And in Asia, this is a big, big thing. Like in China, for example, you have tons of really good products, and you don't know when they will end up having or showing up in some markets. We started having this, let's say, challenges now. So regardless of any technology we have, we always take into consideration that the competition is just around the corner, and they will be on board soon.
That's true. So it's about market fit. Sometimes if you are too advanced,
exactly,
it's difficult to understand the value here.
Right.
Thank you very much, Osama.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.